So at time of writing, I just finished watching Season 3 of Squid Game. By the way, spoilers for the entirety of Squid Game if you haven't seen it already. And I've already been inundated with the exact kind of people who always make themselves known anytime a popular piece of media exists. There's the people saying it was shit because it was a 5 at worst and a 6 at best, the people taking the scene at the end to mean they'll be getting Season 4, and the owies. Only one of those is in any way tolerable, and it isn't the first two. See, I want to tell everyone who liked the show when it first gained popularity, watched Seasons 2 and 3, and then quickly went, I wonder what's gonna happen in Season 4, especially since it's set in America this time. Stop. Just stop. You do not want Season 4 of Squid Game. You do not want the next season of anything that has ended with no intention of coming back. You say you do, but you do not. And here's why. So if you've been following Squid Game like I have, you must have at least once seen the article about the series creator and director, dong-hyuk, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, saying that he got so sick of making the damn thing that he lost 9 teeth. He even said that the only reasons he came back for Season 2 in the first place were money and to finish the story, because he felt like he hadn't been compensated well enough for the first season. I dug a little deeper by scrolling further down on the page, Ace Detective I Know, and found out that Netflix demanding the creators sign away their rights to profit is literally in the text of the contracts they sign, and it's a global issue. Squid Game is Netflix's most popular series. They screwed this guy way the fuck over. Squid Game ended with In-ho traveling to America to hand down Gi-yoon's winnings and belongings to his daughter, where he sees a woman slapping the shit out of a man while playing Dakji. Side note, but this guy, living in America, would not have let her do any of this. People say the baby side plot is unbelievable. You're honestly expecting me to believe that in America, the place where you can't walk 3 blocks without tripping over a gun, would have the Dakji end in anything but gunfire and 16 misogynistic slurs all belted at once? But yeah, a lot of people thought this was totally 100% setting up Squid Game in America in however many years that would take. But no, in another article I found in about 4 keystrokes, I found the author talking about the quote-unquote symbolism and metaphors prevalent in the show, and in this scene in particular. I put symbolism and metaphors in quotes because unless you're the media literacy ogre, or you just don't care to watch the show for more than the death games, you should know by this point that Squid Game is basically screaming at the viewer, capitalism brutally murders mass amounts of people, and if you don't perform well enough for the Omega Wealthy, you will die by their hands. And the people in charge routinely portray you as a bad guy for not just going along with it and being fair. These people decided to forego the democratic process and elected to stop the games with violence. We will not tolerate any irrational behavior here, because we don't want people breaking the fair rules of our games. Bold of the kidnapping and murder organization, with an illegal organ harvesting business on the side to boast about fairness. But, you know, telling the kidnapping and murder organization with the power to disappear 450 people in a night, and then murder them all in a week not to lie about fairness, is like trying to squeeze milk from an MP3 player. You just look like an idiot. But it is just like them to tell you that violence against the violent is wrong, while they brandish machine guns at you. I saw at least one person on the Squid Game subreddit miss the point entirely and say that rebellion was a bad idea. And I would expect that same person to be surprised when they throw their cat into a paint mixer and then it scratches them. Hi, this is editing crab. I have to get this out. This is so fucking... It's so stupid. It's so stupid whenever somebody gives this to... Like, the plan was not stupid, you just didn't get it. Like, the plan the entire time, from the moment that Gi-yoon got onto the island, was to end the games for good. That was it. That was the whole thing. It wasn't to end these particular games and have as many people go home as possible. It became that, after it became obvious that Gi-yoon had to just win the stalling war for a bit. But, like, no. The plan wasn't to get this specific group of people to go home and then they're all fine. The plan was to stop the games for good, which is why they had the rebellion. The point was to go up there, blow the front man's head clean off, and then have the entirety of Korea be better for it. And everyone keeps missing the fucking point of them not killing all the O people. Like, asshole, the people who wanted the games to keep going were in the same exact boat as the people who didn't want them to keep going. It's just that they needed the money more than they needed to be alive. The only thing that these people are actually right about is the fact that it's not like a clear-cut good-bad situation. Gi-yoon here is under the impression that the ends will justify the means should they succeed, which I would disagree with. But you know, that's what's fun about Gi-yoon, seeing exactly where his head is at due to all of this. I want to end off this little, like, unscripted rant section just by saying, if a character does something that isn't 100% logical, that's fine. Because if characters were 100% logical all the time, a lot of the stories that you like straight up wouldn't fucking exist. You should have characters do things that are dumb or bad or just not at all the way thought through. Because that's what's fun about telling stories. Telling stories from the perspective of people who would do those things. Rising up against a corrupt system is ethically your duty, not as a citizen of anywhere, but as a person living on Earth. And they were right to do that. They were right to pump the foot soldiers of the kidnapping murder organization full of lead. If we accept the idea that rebellion is a stupid idea because this one didn't bear any fruit, then our only recourse is to lay down and let the modern-day secret police kill us all. But I've gotten way too off topic here. I think I came here to talk about why a guy got sick of making his K-drama. The scene with the American recruiter was included specifically to make a broader point about capitalism and how dismantling it in one part of the world won't wipe it out everywhere. Systems that allow for the greedy to take and take and take forever won't ever really go away unless we change the world. And that is a daunting task, but it isn't impossible. The games in Korea were ultimately stopped because two people cared and fought so much for the sake of people who had been screwed over and tossed aside by the world. Two people wanted to see it end by any means necessary, and it did. So this is it. He told the rest of the story in seasons 2 and 3. It's done, it's over, it should not come back whatsoever. But that doesn't matter to the type of person who views content the way the Americans view potato chips. Let me ask you a question, does this sound familiar? People clamoring for the next season of a popular show, discoursing about it ad nauseum, saying that it's effectively bound to happen just because so many people like it. Does any of this ring a bell? So, I've seen this happen like 8 times, and it was always within the animation fandom. I think I first saw it with Steven Universe. Steven Universe fans, myself included, I used to be a fan, quickly hopped onto the theory that the show was only ever cancelled because of homophobia, and it was just so unfair, and it needed to come back, it just needed to come back! Here's the thing though, all the people getting ready to burn down Cartoon Network Studios for the crime of cancelling a show they really like, just wanted the show to go on forever. And if you're familiar with how TV works, you recognize that as a ludicrous idea that was never going to come into fruition. Especially since Steven Universe already had 5 seasons, 160 episodes in total, a movie, and a spin-off series. They literally got 6 seasons and a movie. Yet, despite your lamentations otherwise, you got enough Steven Universe. You just wanted more. It was clear that there was going to be an end for the overarching plot of Steven Universe from the end of Season 1, and it locked itself off from ever being a series that could go on for as long as it wanted to by doing that. It made its choice, and then kept wanting to go back on it, which you just can't do. But like all serialized shows, it ended, and then people got angry. I have even more examples of people getting mad at their favorite cartoons ending, and immediately starting up petitions to make the show come back somehow. Star vs. the Forces of Evil got 4 seasons with 77 episodes, and immediately after Cleaved, I saw a petition to let the show continue after season 4. The number dwindled even further with Amphibia receiving 3 seasons and 58 episodes. Then the Owl House with 2 seasons and 43 episodes, 3 of which being half-hour specials. Notice how the number of episodes keep going down? It's because all the shows listed keep wasting a fuck ton of time, but that's not why we're here today. People were chomping at the bit to get more and more and more and more out of all of these shows. This is editing crab. For transparency's sake, I should say. The only 2 fandoms where I knew that people were chopping at the bit more and more and more to get infinite content out of the thing that they like were Steven Universe and the Owl House. I can't say all that much for Amphibia. I did see some people going, oh hey, Season 4 needs to happen, Season 4 needs to happen. But Amphibia hasn't really crossed my dash as much as those other 2, so like, could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Not all of them had good conclusions, but the intent for a serialized show like the ones I've listed out here is to tell a story, end, and then have that be that. So why? Why have I rambled on and on about how and why these shows end when this video is about Squid Game and the reason you don't want Season 4? It's because a lot of audiences treated all of these shows like snack food. They don't care about the stories within the work they consume enough to be satisfied. Gluttony is in the forefront of the minds of everyone who demanded a 4th, 5th, and 6th season to all of these shows. Because it isn't enough for them to just see the show once, like it, and then move on to the next. They have to get more, they have to see more, there needs to be more animation, more word from the author, more content to shove down the gullet that is their eyes. It's par for the course that the people who watch Squid Game would demand more content immediately after. Squid Game is a Netflix show, and I hear that nowadays Netflix and every other streaming platform that exists is encouraging you to binge watch entire seasons in days. I know a friend of mine who watched the entirety of Squid Game 3 in one day. That is 6 hours of content. I'm willing to bet that a lot of people binge watch entire seasons of the 4 other shows I listed because consuming days worth of content for your brain to process in mere hours has somehow become the norm. If these shows were food, a lot of the people who watch them would be puking after every watch, because that's what happens when you don't enjoy your food. Ideally, TV shows are brain food, especially serialized shows, and especially drama TV. It took me 3 days to watch all of Season 3. Episode 1 on one day, Episodes 2, 3, and 4 on another, and Episode 5 and 6 at time of writing. No, the best way to watch would have been to watch one episode each Friday for the next 6 weeks. But the thing I'm trying to say here is that restraint makes you enjoy shows more, because restraint lets your brain think about the show for more than 10 minutes after you're done with the season. Shows aren't popcorn. You don't get to the bottom of the bag and then ask for more. That isn't how art works at all. You should be satisfied by the time you reach the end of the season, and you should also be smart enough to recognize when a show definitely should not continue. I'll put it it to you this way, Squid Game Season 1 was a 7, Season 2 was a 4, waxing 5, and Season 3 was a 5.5. Do you honestly think that another season is what this show needed? The show hasn't hit the point where it sells out and produces infinitely because Dong-hyuk actually has more integrity than that. If Squid Game does reach Season 8 in the future, he probably won't have any part in it because that would miss the point of the entire show. I'll reiterate the point of Squid Game for you now. Capitalism is bad, and enables those who abuse it to murder people for sport, fun, or some sense of superiority. In a way, every single character in the games is serving the VIPs, and the VIPs being cringe is a part of their character. You're not supposed to like these people. They aren't good villains at all because the ultra-wealthy aren't good villains, they're just evil people who shouldn't have as much money as they have. Now, given that Squid Game has been parodied by Mr. fucking Beast and Netflix themselves, it's pretty safe to say that a lot of people either missed the point or just wanted you to ignore that point so you could have more Squid Game. It was around Game 4 in Season 3 when I actually got close to crying, and that says a lot because I never cried anything. Specifically the scene where the mom had to kill her son so he wouldn't murder a new mom. It was at that point, and the scene when the mom hung herself, when I thought to myself, I never want to be involved in this. I would never want to play these games. And beyond that, it showed me just how cruel the games could be, how awful it was. He was her son. She had to kill her own son. Not with a button, or with apathy, or with anything giving them even a single degree of separation. She had to kill him with her own hands. She had to take her own child, whom she carried from the cradle, raised into a man, and protected for almost his entire life out of this world. If you watched that and really felt it, you wouldn't be asking for more Squid Game. People who watch Squid Game just to see people die, or what games they put a bloody new twist on, aren't bad people. They came for a reason not intended by the author, but still enjoyable nonetheless. I mean, I'm not about to pretend that not engaging with the work on its terms is by any means the wrong way to engage with it. Homestuck really wants you to see Terezi killing Vriska as something bad that happened because it needed to, but I don't. They have, like I said, missed the point entirely though. The show was always going to end, and it was always about something other than a knife with a heart sticker on it. It was about greed, it was about money, and it was about people just trying to live. And if you chose to ignore that, that's on you. Hey, so while I was editing this, I looked over one of the articles that I found when I was scouring the internet for resources, and I found out that they're saying David Fincher might make an American Squid Game spinoff, and the original director would be interested in seeing how that pans out. I still think that this is a really bad move. In the article, people kept talking about the Squid Game universe, how the Squid Game universe has just begun, how the Squid Game universe is going to be so cool and epic, and look, can we just have stories end? Can we just have stories be stories and that's it? Can we just have shit end on a good note instead of trying to make it into some infinitely sprawling concept that has a whole legacy? Literally, in this section, I just got done explaining how Squid Game's entire point, every single theme and message of the show, is that the system that demands infinite production is shit. So I feel like doing this would just undermine all of the work done previously, metatextually speaking. And even if it didn't, what more is there to say? The same exact themes and messages, but about America this time? People still wouldn't fucking get it, that's why they want more. Look, I'm not at all familiar with Fincher's work, so maybe it will be good, but I feel like my point still stands here. We don't need Squid Game forever. It was good. It was a good show, and we can move on to the next. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you liked or didn't like this video, tell me why. If you liked it so much that you wanted to see more, consider subscribing. I primarily make these videos to foster discussion, but I do intend to make money off of them at some point, so if you could share this video around, that would really help me out. I'm Crab, and thank you for watching.